I always gotta love that intro music that Restream plays for us. I feel like I'm in church and it's just everything's getting ready for a sermon. But it's not, it's the DJ sessions. And here we are again, once again, for the virtual sessions. I'm your host, Darren, and I'm in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, with none other than Jesse and Luke Miller coming in also as Beardo Bees and Luke the Knife. Let's see, Luke's all the way over in Denver. Jesse, you're in Philly, correct?
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the DJ sessions. It's a pleasure to have you both here today. And, you guys have been up to kind of a lot lately. I'm going to dive right into some stuff here and go right with it. You got a new album coming out in August, and I was listening to Tar Pits before watching the video, actually. I went down to SoundCloud and I was listening to the song, and then I went over to YouTube and I checked out the video. I mean, it just kind of really blew me. I was not expecting that. And so let's go back in time in your musical history. When did you two decide to become musicians?
I don't know, like if it was really a conscious decision, but we had a band in high school and just liked playing music. And then in college, we started a band, and it happened to be Lotus, and we were pretty serious about working on it, and it just kind of picked up steam, and we continued it going. And yeah, now I don't know, we're 20 some years in.
And I mean, obviously, you're brothers, twin brothers, and both of you said, okay, in college. I mean, was there any musical history of your family? Were there any musicians in your family before you two started, or any influences there at an early age?
Not any professional musicians. We grew up doing some music in church and stuff and taking piano lessons, but I think most of it was kind of just our own impetus.
Yeah, I mean, our parents had a record collection that couldn't have been more than like 25 records or something. So, um, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's definitely drawn to a lot of different art, but music, I guess, it's like how I feel like everybody experiences the same way. It's just such a powerful thing. So, just pursuing that as far as writing and playing with other people, and yeah, and especially like composing and producing was like a big part of that. And really became the primary form of artistic expression for us.
And you both are DJs as well. Was the influence of only having 25 records in your home kind of a inspiration for that, saying, I want more music?
Yeah, like dance music was something that came to a little bit later. We were in high school in the 90s when it was kind of like a rave scene, and even like finding electronic music, it was not easy. It was very associated with these subcultures. So if you're just in the suburbs or without a car, like it wasn't the easiest thing to like pop over to this like night rave that went all night. So I think it was more like in college that got turned on to um, stuff like the Orb and Underworld, things that were like less. They were coming from this dance culture, but something that was like more expansive and really, I don't know, kind of pushed the idea of electronic music. Now it's everywhere. It's kind of hard to imagine now like what it was like in the 90s. Like electronic music had this thing about it. People just thought of it as people doing drugs in a warehouse essentially. And it was, yeah, it wasn't thought of, I think, as like a serious form of art. So when we started to hear these kind of things and things like Aphex Twin, Boards of Canada, that really kind of expanded my mind. But as far as like anything that was dancey, rock stuff, funk stuff, I was always drawn to that. So it was like a natural kind of marrying of things. So, we went through a whole progression of things before arriving at more of the dance side.
And Luke, you're the keyboard and guitar player for Lotus. Jesse, you're the bass and modular synth guy for Lotus. What made you gravitate towards those instruments? Luke first, and going into
I started on guitar, and when we started Lotus, I just played guitar originally, and then yeah, we were, like Jesse was saying, we were listening to a lot of British, specifically electronic music, and there's only so much you can do with a guitar. So I just kind of got a synth and started trying to learn some stuff. And now I play more synth than guitar, but it was kind of just a means to an end of bringing in a different sounds.
Yeah, I came to bass kind of a similar way. Like when we were putting together this band with some friends in high school, there was no one who played bass, so I just went and bought a bass. It's funny. I don't really, even though I play bass a lot, I don't really think of myself as primarily a bassist. I don't know if Luke might say the same thing, but think more composer first, and bass is just what I happen to play live, but. I'm happy playing and enjoy playing other things on stage too.
Has your musical taste changed over time, or do you think it will? I mean, you kind of go on a wider range there when it comes to your live performance, correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're always trying not to get locked into just one sound, and I mean, who knows where we'll go from here? Everything's kind of all. I feel like all the trends are circling at once. It's not a linear progression nowadays, so it's hard to just say.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that I got turned on to in college that I still love, and some of it I look back on and don't really care for anymore. But yeah, it's all over the place. Anything that's quality, I will give a chance.
Awesome. And Luke, in your musical selection, I was listening to mix number 48, Flight of the Sagittarius. Really badass, by the way.
Thank you.
But it seems you tend to look for more of the you know, loungy, down tempo, like summer afternoon sunset. Keyword there, sunset kind of vibes when you play a set.
Depends on the location. I mean, if it's an outdoor show at sunset, or kind of more that chill vibe, that's what I'll go for. If it's a late night thing, I'll try to get something that's usually a little more hard hitting with a little bigger sound to it. But yeah, when I started Luke the Knife, I primarily did disco stuff, so it was dance oriented, but everything had some live element, live bass, or live percussion, that disco element in there. I've expanded beyond that, but that's still kind of a little bit my bread and butter.
Yeah. And are bigger crowds better than smaller crowds, or do you prefer a more smaller, intimate vibe when you're performing, whether it is either as, you know, Beer to Bees and Luke the Knife or as Lotus? What environment do you both prefer more?
I think there's a lot of factors. I don't think size is necessarily the biggest one. I think it's more about being able to connect to the energy of the audience, whether that means like a smaller room where everybody's really up close, or like a bigger spot, or like a festival where you have this like really powerful sound system. But I always feel like, um, yeah, when I feel like there's a strong back and forth between the stage and the audience is where I have the best time.
How about you, Luke?
I feel like you need like a certain size of a crowd to get like that critical mass going. But as long as it's above that, like Jesse was saying, it's more about the intention of people there that makes a more of a difference to me than if it's 100 versus 10,000. That the energy can be about the same.
Yeah, it's funny you use that word critical mass. We use that a lot when we're explaining our silent disco, silent concert events. And, it's that once you get a group of people, then everyone starts turning their heads and then they want to join and they want to know what's going on. So,
Yeah.
it's a very interesting experience. It's almost like an experiment every time working with the crowd and watching that critical mass happen. I was going to say, are you a mind reader? Because I was just going to say critical mass. That's awesome. And You mentioned growing up in the 90s and nightclubs and raves that weren't really like around the corner from where you grew up. Back in the day, I remember that DJs, they weren't usually part of the main show. They were usually up in a booth somewhere off in a corner, and the music was being played, but they weren't the focal point of the show. And do you think people should look at the DJs? I mean, now it's such mainstream, main culture, but should they look at them as rock stars or major performers? Or would it be nice if they just kind of took a step back and went back to being more of a component of the environment?
I kind of feel like it depends what the music is. I mean, um, even connecting those two things, like a lot of stuff we see now, um, if it's somebody just kind of pressing play on an Ableton set and waving their hands around, I that to me is like not very interesting to watch. But I understand that if like making it connecting it more toward like the tradition of a rock show, making that central. And I think it depends on the music too. I think when you have this more kind of open-ended, trancy kind of music, then it might make sense for a DJ to be not as much the focal point, and kind of let things unfold more slowly. Where I see a lot of like I don't know if I call them like festival style sets, but that kind of style where it is really focused on whoever the DJ or producer is, and I get that side too. So I think both can work.
I think if I went to a show though, and the DJ was off to the side of the stage or something, it would feel a little weird. I don't know. I usually watch the DJ, and he kind of just those little small physical cues of like, here's the drop. I'm changing it up. I mean, I've seen more in Europe where it is a little bit, people are looking less at the DJ, or at least that's how, like you were saying, how it used to be. But I don't know. Maybe we've gone and sometimes it overshoots with all the pyro and stuff shooting off. But I think that the person that's DJing is still kind of leading the party, so you should mostly be looking at them.
It's funny you bring up pyro. We just had a exclusive guest mix from Kubrick, and he was on a boat in the middle of this lake, and they actually brought out pyro and put pyro on the back of the boat, and we're firing it off. And I'm like, I missed that. I didn't watch the set all the way through, but I might have been looking away or something. I didn't know. And then I went back to look at the set, and there was like pyrotechnics going off on the boat. And I'm like, and they got a drone flying through, and I'm like, okay, you guys went all out on this. Thank you.
Yeah,
But
you're competing with all of YouTube these days, so
yeah.
You need a little something.
Definitely. Do you think dance music sounds better at night?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Like if you get a kick drum up to a proper level, like during the daytime it could be annoying, but at night it's like, I don't know. I feel like for me, nighttime's the ideal time.
How about you, Jesse?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like you want to funk it out during the day, and then once the sun sets, that's four to the floor all day or all night.
What has been your favorite city? This is a question to both of you. We can go Jesse first, Luke next. What's been your favorite city to play in so far?
One of the cities I really like to play is DC, mostly because I really like the 930 Club. It's just like I don't know, fun place. It's like not super far from Philly, but with like just a really classic venue with a great sound system. So that's always a fun place for me to get to.
How about you, Luke?
Man, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's always fun playing here in the Denver area, up at Red Rocks, or some of the other places around Colorado, like Aspen, and we're playing up at this little amphitheater called the Mishawaka in September. But one really memorable experience was the very first show we ever played in Japan, just in Tokyo. And it was just kind of a wild energy of this small underground crowd that has always stuck with me.
And speaking of events coming up, I mean, you have a pretty heavy tour schedule coming up. I saw one that stood out though. Summer Dance. Tell our DJ Sessions fans about Summer Dance.
Yeah, Summer Dance is this little festival that we host every year in Eastern Ohio. It takes place at this place called Nelson Ledges Quarry Park. So it's camping in the woods. It's a quarry. It's really chill schedule. Like music starts in the afternoon, ends at 11. It's just one stage, but it's a like really good vibe. We do 3 days of Lotus. We usually bring our side projects and a few other select acts, but yeah, put a few thousand people out at this campground, and it's always a super fun weekend.
And I take it you get to get out and kind of hang out and mingle with the crowd, get to meet your fans and hang out and
Yeah,
have fun too. It
definitely.
isn't work, work, work the whole time, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we bring our side projects and stuff, so there is a lot of 6 sets of Lotus, various sets with other groups, but there's like there's water there that you can swim in. There's cliff jumping. It's always a highlight of the summer.
Awesome. And do you ever get fed up with making and playing music? And what happens if that does happen? How do you deal with that if you're on tour? Is there a
not really making and playing, but sometimes all the other stuff that goes in, like the logistics of trying to, sometimes I envy just straight DJs where it's like pop a thumb drive in a backpack and fly somewhere. We're wrangling a whole band and crew and trucking gear around for Lotus, that kind of stuff. Um, so yeah, all the travel and those kind of logistical things, it can be a little bit of a headache, but yeah, it's pretty much always a pleasure to make and perform music.
Yeah, sometimes I get you get caught up with all these other things like promoting and other stuff, and for me, it's a respite to go back and like actually be working on new music, and that's my ideal place to be in. So as long as I get a chance to keep that up and keep fresh and keep writing new things, that keeps me inspired.
how much has social media become a factor in your daily, weekly, monthly artist upkeep? Is that something that's really important to the both of you, or is it something that's like a I got it kind of thing and I do it?
Yeah, to me, it's not. It's not that if it went away tomorrow, it would make me happy. But you definitely have to. You have to keep it up. I think it's kind of necessary to some degree, and it is um, a way to connect directly to the fans. So that's good. But yeah, I think like Luke mentioned, the like if you have a day where you're not touring and you just want to turn all this stuff on and record music all day, often that can get interrupted with what seems like these attending to not just social media but all the other things that need to be attended to run a business.
Mhm. Yeah, I recently saw a pie chart. It was like before social media pie chart and pie chart after social media, and how an artist would spend all their time being able to create music and do all this stuff. And it was, like 80% of that pie chart was focusing on the artist and the music and the creation and the art. And now the new pie chart is 20% is focusing on the artist and 80% is focusing on social media,
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
unfortunate.
yeah. And I mean, there was even, I think I saw it was a couple weeks ago, it was a female artist and she posted on TikTok about how her label wanted her to do something controversial on to create a buzz, create hype. And she's like, I'm not here to do social media campaigns for this record label. I'm here to make music for the label, and then other artists started speaking out about that. And, because how do you get people's attention in a day and age where there's a million different things going on? And, one of the things we've done up here in Seattle is we actually have the mobile studio where it's literally a concert in a big concert grade sound system in a big glass box on the back of a truck. And if we didn't have that sound system, we'd drive by people and they wouldn't know we're there because they're in their headsets or looking at their phones. But now they hear us from 4 blocks away and they turn their head and then they turn their head again and then they pull out their phone and start shooting pictures of us, So I mean, just staying in front of the public is can be a full-time job in itself. Do you two have any particular social issues that you care about?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. Sometimes I question whether how much that should enter the artistic space. I understand that I like when people use platform they have to advance something good. At the same time, like if people want to search out and learn more about something, I think going to musicians or something is maybe like one of the last places they should go. Like let's start with like maybe more experts. So um, yeah, I kind of I never know exactly what a like great line for that is as far as like connecting social things with Lotus or other stuff we're doing.
But yeah, backstage in the band, we're always talking about social issues and stuff, and it's always a point of interest, and we try to stay current on what's happening. But we don't generally bring it into the music that much.
And you mentioned earlier with Summer Dance that you work and collaborate with other artists. If there was one artist that you could put into the spotlight, or one group that you could put into the spotlight right now that maybe is kind of underdog or just up and coming, who would that be and why?
Well, speaking of Summer Dance, we have the Special coming out, and they're a very unique band that is somewhat in the jam band scene, but also has um, metal influences and even like electronic influences, and that I don't know, they're just like a very unique band that they've been getting out there for a while. So yeah, we're really glad to have them on that show, and people should definitely give their music a listen.
And Chalk Dinosaur is a producer musician from Pittsburgh who just has super prolific and does a lot of different genres, and um, he's got a really good home, very good at home mixing and producing, and he's putting out a lot of quality stuff.
And Jesse, you're go by Beard of Bees, and you also work with Wax
Yeah, Wax Future.
Wax Future. Thank you. But your project you both work together on is Beeswax.
Yeah,
Is that correct? Tell us
yeah.
a little bit. Tell our DJ Sessions fans a little bit about that project.
Yeah, so that was one of the pandemic records I did. So Wax Future, when they perform, it's more of this duo kind of sort of EDM set with live guitar. And when I do Beardo Bees, it's more of a modular hybrid sort of DJ producer live PA set, something like that. But we did this album together, and it's much more like we're just kind of like a rock band with electronic influences. There's stuff that sounds a little bit like I don't know, maybe Tycho. There's things that sound almost like Gorillas or Rat-a-tat. So it's a lot of fun to do. Connor is one of the guys from Wax Future. He sings, so we write a lot of songs. So it's been a lot of yeah, a lot of fun to make that record. And we've played a couple shows. We actually have one coming up next week in Philly. But yeah, if people want to check it out, they can go to either look up Beard of Bees or Wax Future, and the latest record's called Royal Jelly.
Awesome. And Luke, do you work on any collaborations? Do you have any other? What are your side projects?
Luke the Knife is my DJ project, and I'm working on launching a new project that's more vocal oriented with a female vocalist. So that'll be coming out in a few months.
Awesome. And I saw that you two had a merch store on the lotusvibes.com website, which I'll be bringing up right here. People can go check out that website, Lotus Vibes. Looking at the merch space as for bands and getting into selling things, have the two of you discussed NFTs? That was kind of the buzzword for last year and coming into this year. Is that something you'll be looking into?
Yeah, we did one with Lotus, and I've done a couple other projects with another group I play with called Octave Cat, and yeah, it's something that we've discussed and haven't. I know people have different opinions on them. I kind of understand both sides, having seen it, and currently there hasn't been really one format for music NFTs that's really taken off in quite the same way that some of the other ones have. But it's definitely um, it feels like it's something that's here to stay. So we just want to make sure that when we do it, it's not just some throwaway thing. We want to do something that is creative. But there's definitely some fans that ask about it. Definitely some fans who don't care about that space at all. But I think we could do something in that space, and it doesn't have to cater to all our fans.
Mhm. Luke, what's your take on NFTs?
I feel like most of it's a scam, but if I don't know, I'm more focused on making music, but if someone facilitates it, I won't stand in the way, you know.
I think one of the most creative things that I thought I saw as an NFT that came out was it was a group that they put on a show. I can't remember exactly who it was, but you buy the NFT ticket, and then that's your ticket. Once you hold that, you can always have that. But obviously, you can transfer it off and sell it to somebody else. But that's your ticket for the show. I think there's going to be a lot more creativity in that space. Like I think you said, Jesse, it's here to stay, but definitely has to be figured out and how it can go. Because one of the things that I know artists do look at it is that they can still get revenue share off of things that still pass on and on and on and on, which is nice. I think it's like what you got to get like 1 million plays on Spotify to earn something decent, or maybe
Yeah,
my calculations are off on that, but
or you think about like um, you press a record or you do some kind of rare record and it sells out really fast, goes on the secondary market, the artist isn't getting anything. If that was linked to somehow linked to an NFT, then there would be a possibility that anytime it's resold, the artist gets something back. So yeah, I think there are a lot of um, interesting ways that the technology could be used. There's definitely a lot of issues. The energy consumption is obviously a concern to a lot of people. So that's something to think about. Although I think you always have to compare it to something. You can't just compare making minting an NFT to nothing. You have to compare it to, all right, what is this functioning as? If it's functioning like a vinyl record, well, there's a lot of energy that goes into making that too, and I don't see a lot of drumbeat on the same scale of people trying to eliminate that. So I think you have to kind of balance both sides.
Yeah, we were recently talking about this. Kind of leads into my next question. We're into the VR space, and I'll be asking you a little bit about that in a second. But I was talking with somebody in there about creating an NFT art gallery, and one of the things they brought up was the energy consumption that it makes to make an NFT, and how the community as a whole didn't really approve of that. And I'm like, well, is that your opinion, or is that the community's opinion? And where is this data? Where is this coming from? I thought it was an interesting one that somebody had brought up, and I had never heard of that before. That wasn't even a topic of conversation. I'm like, oh, an NFT, you're just making a digital file. Okay, great. It's easy. And then kind of opened my eyes up that there are some social issues, there are some issues surrounding NFTs and
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
But looking at VR, have the two of you ever talked about doing anything in virtual reality?
No, we've never talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like it. I don't know. Seems like it could have some cool possibilities, but it's something we haven't really explored.
I know with the Apple Glass, I'm not sure if they coined it eyeglass yet or not. It's on its way. Facebook or Meta is making Project Aria, I think. Please don't murder me out there, Facebook land, if I said that wrong. But I know that the companies are making augmented reality glasses. We just built 2 nightclubs in alt space. We're super excited to start doing a bunch of different stuff in there. that we maybe couldn't do. We could do in a physical space, but we can now collaborate with people and do things in a virtual environment all over the world. Just like this live stream's coming in with, you from Denver and Philly. We're coming in, and the world kind of got acclimated to that over the last couple years. Whereas a couple years ago, most people wouldn't be set up for a Zoom interview or a live stream interview, let alone even be probably talking about VR. But what we're looking at is augmented reality as well. Have you ever been approached to do anything with augmented reality?
No.
So like the thought of you could be having a show, but then somebody puts on a pair of glasses and now they're seeing a completely different show experience that has nothing to do with the physical lighting, truss lighting, sound, visuals. We're super excited to see where that goes. Keep a lookout for it though,
Could be interesting.
always that fun
Yeah,
stuff.
I guess it's like anything. It depends like what people do with it. I think that's kind of been one of the big turnoffs in the sort of NFT space is, of course, the very first thing that goes to it is this internet like troll meme culture, which in a lot of ways, which is the antithesis of art in my mind. I think when people start to do or establish creative and beautiful things in any space, people will be drawn to it.
Yeah, I've definitely seen some worlds that I could see. I don't want to say the future of night clubbing because it's just like when we talk about the silent disco conversation, and when I say old cats, I mean, I'm an old cat, but people say, but I want to feel the bass. I want to feel the music. I go to the nightclubs to feel the music, and I don't feel the music when I'm in these headsets. And I go, well, you're not comparing the same medium. They're not the same thing. And I don't think virtual nightclubs are gonna replace real world experiences. Steven, if you're watching, he Steven Severn from Seattle, a big time, long time booker promoter, jumped on. And we were having a conversation about virtual reality, virtual clubs versus in person clubs, and I said, well, it just enhances it. What if I'm in Anchorage, Alaska, and I want to watch the show that's going on in Seattle? I
Yeah,
can
or
now
what
do
if you're
that.
quadriplegic and you can't go to the club or something? I mean, like you're saying, they're two different things you can't replace.
Yeah,
The experience of being in a club with a silent disco, but you also can't put a loud club in the middle of an outdoor space where other people are walking around and it's going to be, rattling the windows or something. So
we used to get a lot of fingers shaking at us when we got to a park and set up our truck and be booming bass at the beach. That's a new name of a show, booming bass at the beach. Anyways, but now everyone walks by and they're like, that is a clever idea. That's awesome. It doesn't disturb the participants. It lets everyone get out there and dance. And when, probably 80% of our media consumption is now through a mobile device, we're listening to it in headsets, but it's not there to replace the dance club or the concert experience in any way, shape, or form. Not yet, anyways. On that note, is there anything else you would like to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you two get back to work?
Yeah, I guess we didn't really talk that much about the record, but I just want to highlight that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's called Bloom and Recede. It's coming out August 26th. Record we're really proud of. It's our last couple records we did more in this sort of 70s style, tracking the band live, and had a lot of influences from that world. This is very synth oriented record with a lot of, let's say, 90s electronica influences, but some more current stuff, and also a lot of classical minimalism influences, and then a little bit of the like psychedelic rock influence as well. So record that we're both super proud of and can't wait for the world to hear.
And right now there are 3 tracks released from that: Pluck, Tar Pits, and Time Dilates, correct?
Yeah.
Do each of those have respective videos to go along with them? I know Tar Pits does.
Yeah, there's and Time Dilates is a live version of the video's a live version, but otherwise, yeah, we did a session tracking most of the songs on the record with this in this kind of studio video setup. That was fun to do.
Awesome. Who directed that video, by the way?
Jesse did most of the direction on it. We had some camera people in there that were helping with direction, but yeah, Jesse kind of set up a lot of it.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, congratulations on the new album coming out. I know Summer Dance sounds like it's going to be a great, great party to go to. Where is that again?
It's about an hour west from Pittsburgh, an hour east from Cleveland in Eastern Ohio. So a little bit of a drive from the East Coast, but it's a super unique weekend, and the crowd is really fun. It's definitely not like any other festival that I know. So ask about it, or if you like Lotus, definitely a place to be, because there's 6 sets of Lotus plus a bunch of side projects, so you get your fill of that.
And we get categorized in the jam band scene, but I don't know who checks out the DJ sessions, but this new record, has crossover to, areas of deep house and, breakbeat stuff and, other areas that, you might not think of if you're just thinking jam band. That's not necessarily the sound of this record.
Awesome. Where can people go to find out more information about that?
I usually point people to our Bandcamp page, lotusvibes.bandcamp. I just think a great site for keeping things album focused, and as all our vinyl there. So but on any streaming platform, you can look up Lotus as well.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the DJ sessions today. It was a pleasure having you both here.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us, Darren.
Absolutely, guys. And don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Meta, find us on Instagram, TikTok, all those socials. But go to our website, thedjsessions.com, where we feature the best DJs, producers, and electronic music artists, and now jam bands from around the world. I'm your host, Darren. It's Jesse and Luke Miller coming in from Denver and Philly, respectively. I hope I got that right. Luke's in Denver, Jesse's in Philly.
Yep.
For the DJ Sessions presents the virtual sessions, I'm your host, Darren. And remember, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.